The room was buzzing with anticipation. It wasn't every day that Elon Musk hosted a town hall meeting open to the public, especially in a community grappling with economic challenges. Hundreds had gathered in the modest auditorium, eager to share their concerns, pitch ideas, or simply catch a glimpse of the man who seemed to hold the future in his hands. Among the crowd was Sarah, a single mother in her mid-30s. Her face carried the lines of exhaustion, a testament to years of juggling 2 jobs, raising her 10-year-old son, and barely scraping by. She didn't come to this meeting for spectacle or admiration, she came with a question, one that had kept her awake at night more times than she could count. Musk took the stage, his presence magnetic yet unassuming. Dressed simply in a blazer and jeans, he began with a brief talk about the power of innovation and the importance of tackling the world's toughest problems. But Sarah wasn't interested in the grand vision, she wanted to talk about the here and now. When the microphone was passed to the audience, she raised her hand, her heart pounding. The moderator handed her the mic, and all eyes turned toward her. She stood, her voice steady but laced with emotion. "Mr. Musk," she began, "you talk a lot about solving big problems, space travel, renewable energy, artificial intelligence. But what about people like me? Single moms working double shifts just to keep the lights on. I'm drowning in bills, my son deserves better, and it feels like no one cares about the little people. So, my question is, how does your vision for the future include people like me?" The room fell silent, the weight of her words hanging in the air. Musk paused, his usual quick responses giving way to a moment of reflection. His gaze met hers, and for the first time that evening, the polished visionary seemed genuinely grounded. "You're right," he said, his voice measured. "We often talk about the big picture, the massive changes that can reshape the world. But those changes mean nothing if they don't improve the lives of people like you and your son." He stepped closer to the edge of the stage, his tone softening. "Tell me, Sarah, what's the biggest challenge you're facing right now?" Sarah hesitated, the rawness of her struggles bubbling to the surface. "It's everything," she said, her voice cracking. "Rent's going up, my car broke down last week, and I can't afford to fix it. My son, he's so smart, but I can't give him the opportunities he deserves. Every day feels like a fight just to survive." Musk nodded, his expression serious. "I hear you," he said. "And you're not alone. Millions of people are in your shoes, and it's unacceptable. If innovation isn't helping people like you, then we're not doing it right." He gestured to his team, who scrambled to take notes. "We've been working on affordable housing initiatives, but clearly, we need to accelerate that. Transportation is another area. What if we could provide access to electric vehicles through community partnerships, making it easier for families to get where they need to go?" The audience began murmuring, but Musk wasn't done. "And education," he continued. "We need to empower kids like your son. What if we created scholarships and grants for tech and STEM programs specifically for single-parent households? Not just as charity, but as an investment in the next generation." Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes, but she held them back. "That all sounds great," she said, her voice trembling. "But what about now? I don't have time to wait for long-term solutions when I can barely make it to next week." Musk stepped down from the stage, walking toward her. The crowd parted as he approached, their curiosity turning to awe. Standing just feet from her, he spoke directly, his voice low but firm. "You're absolutely right," he said. "Big plans won't help you today. So here's what we'll do. I'm going to personally cover the cost of fixing your car and set up a fund to help with your bills. But more importantly, I want you to be part of something bigger. Come work with us. We're piloting programs to help communities like yours, and we need people who understand the challenges firsthand. What do you say?" The room erupted in gasps and applause, the disbelief palpable. Sarah's hands trembled as she clutched the microphone. "You mean, you want me to work for you?" she asked, barely able to process his words. Musk nodded. Yes. You've got strength, resilience, and insight that can't be taught. That's exactly what we need. For the first time in years, Sarah felt a spark of hope. She wiped a tear from her cheek and smiled. I don't know what to say, she admitted. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, Musk said, offering a rare smile. We've got a lot of work to do. As the crowd cheered, Sarah realized that this moment wasn't just about her. It was about a future where people like her weren't forgotten, where the struggles of everyday life were met with compassion, action, and real change. And for the first time in a long time, she felt like she was part of something extraordinary. In the days following the town hall, Sarah's life changed in ways she could never have imagined. True to his word, Elon Musk's team took immediate action. Her car was repaired within 24 hours, and a fund was set up to cover her overdue bills, easing the weight that had been crushing her for years. But what truly shocked her was the opportunity to work directly with Musk's community initiative team. The morning of her first day, Sarah stood outside a sleek, modern building that housed Musk's local operations. Her nerves were on edge, but the thought of her son, Daniel, back at home with a proud smile on his face, gave her the courage to walk through the doors. Inside, she was greeted by a bustling environment unlike anything she'd ever experienced. Engineers, project managers, and community advocates worked side by side, their energy contagious. A woman named Rachel, who introduced herself as the program coordinator, led Sarah to a conference room. Welcome aboard, Rachel said warmly. Elon's vision is simple, he wants to bridge the gap between innovation and real-life struggles. And your story inspired him to make sure we're addressing immediate needs while building for the future. Sarah nodded, still feeling out of place. I'm not an expert in technology or business, she admitted. I'm just a mom who's been trying to get by. That's exactly why you're here, Rachel said. You understand what families like yours go through every day. Your perspective is invaluable. Sarah was quickly immersed in her role, working alongside a diverse team to design programs that addressed housing, transportation, and education gaps in struggling communities. Her input proved crucial, especially when it came to identifying real-world challenges that often went overlooked in high-level planning. One of the first projects was a pilot program for single-parent families, offering subsidized electric vehicles and free charging stations in partnership with local businesses. Sarah's experience with transportation struggles shaped the program, ensuring it was practical and accessible. But her proudest moment came when she pitched an idea for a mentorship initiative called Future Sparks, connecting underprivileged children with industry professionals to inspire them and teach valuable skills. When she presented the concept to Musk himself during a team meeting, she was met with enthusiastic approval. I love it, Musk said, leaning forward in his chair. Let's make it happen. And I want your son to be part of the first group. Sarah's heart swelled with pride. He'd be honored, she said, holding back tears. The program launched a few months later, starting with a community event in the same auditorium where Sarah had first confronted Musk. This time, she was on stage, standing beside him as they introduced Future Sparks to a packed room. I never thought I'd be here, Sarah said, addressing the crowd. But this isn't about me. It's about showing that no matter how hard life gets, there's always hope. And with the right opportunities, we can all achieve something extraordinary. Her words were met with thunderous applause, and as she looked at the smiling faces of families in the audience, she felt an overwhelming sense of purpose. Musk stepped up to the microphone, his expression more reflective than usual. Sarah reminded me of something important, he said. It's not enough to think about the future in abstract terms. We have to make sure the future we're building includes everyone, especially those who are struggling the most. This is just the beginning. As the months turned into years, Sarah's impact continued to grow. She became a trusted advisor in Musk's community initiatives, shaping policies that improved countless lives. Her son, Daniel, thrived in the mentorship program, discovering a love for robotics that eventually led him to a scholarship. Sarah's story became a symbol of what could happen when innovation met empathy. And every time she walked into a meeting or a community event, she carried the memory of that first question she'd asked Musk, a question that had changed everything. For her son, and for countless others, the future was no longer something to fear. It was something to fight for. As Sarah's journey continued, her influence grew not only within Elon Musk's initiatives but also far beyond. She became a voice for struggling families, her story resonating with people across the country. News outlets covered her transition from a single mother on the brink of despair to a leader shaping programs that impacted thousands. But with her newfound platform came challenges. One day, as Sarah prepared for a panel discussion on community-driven innovation, her phone buzzed with a notification. It was an email from a struggling single mother named Anita, who had read about Sarah's story. "I don't know if you'll see this," Anita wrote, "but I feel like I'm where you were not too long ago. I have 2 kids, a mountain of bills, and no way forward. How did you find the strength to keep going when everything felt impossible?" Sarah paused, the weight of the question settling over her. She typed a reply, pouring her heart into every word. "I know how it feels to be overwhelmed, to think there's no way out. But I also know that strength doesn't always come from big moments, it comes from the small ones. It's in showing up for your kids, even when you're exhausted. It's in asking for help, even when it's hard. And it's in believing, even for a second, that things can get better. You're not alone, Anita. And if I can help in any way, I will." The email stayed with Sarah as she stepped onto the panel stage that evening. The room was filled with policymakers, tech leaders, and community organizers. Beside her sat Musk, his usual calm demeanor in place as the moderator introduced them. "Tonight, we're discussing how technology can bridge the gap between innovation and real-world struggles," the moderator said. "Sarah, you've lived this firsthand. What's your advice to those who want to make a difference but don't know where to start?" Sarah took a deep breath. "Start by listening," she said. "Too often, solutions are designed without understanding the people they're meant to help. When Elon asked me what I needed, he didn't come with assumptions, he came with questions. And that's what made all the difference." Musk nodded, adding, "Sarah's right. Real innovation isn't about imposing solutions, it's about collaboration. It's about empowering people to shape the future with you, not for them." After the panel, Sarah found herself surrounded by people eager to share their own stories and ideas. But what stood out was a young girl, about 10 years old, who approached hesitantly with her mother. "Hi," the girl said, clutching a small notebook. "My mom said you helped someone like us. I just wanted to say thank you." Sarah knelt down, her eyes level with the girl's. "What's your name?" she asked. "Lila," the girl said softly. "Well, Lila," Sarah replied with a smile, "you're the reason I do this. And one day, I hope you'll be standing up here, helping others too." The girl beamed, and Sarah felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She glanced at Musk, who was watching the interaction with quiet pride. In the years that followed, Sarah became a pivotal figure. With her speech at the Geneva summit making global headlines, Sarah found herself at the center of a movement far greater than she had ever imagined. The initiatives she had helped launch were being replicated in countries around the world, and the demand for her leadership only grew. But even with all the progress, Sarah felt the weight of unfinished work. There were still too many voices unheard, too many lives untouched. One day, back in her home office, Sarah received a call from Musk. His tone was lighter than usual, almost teasing. "How's the world's most inspiring leader doing today?" he asked. Sarah chuckled. "Trying to keep up with the expectations you set for me." Musk's voice turned serious. "I've been thinking about the next step. We've transformed communities, created opportunities, and shown what's possible. But what if we could bring it all together? A place where people could see, firsthand, how innovation and community work in harmony." "You're talking about a hub," Sarah said, catching his drift. A living, breathing example of what we've built. Exactly, Musk replied. A city built on the principles we've been working on, self-sustaining, inclusive, and driven by technology designed to serve humanity. I want you to lead it. The magnitude of the idea stunned Sarah. You want me to design a city? Not just design it, Musk clarified. Lead it. Shape it. Make it a place where people can see what the future looks like when it's built for everyone. Months later, the project was unveiled, Horizon City, a prototype for the future. Located on a sprawling plot of land in a region once devastated by economic collapse, Horizon City would be a self-sustaining urban center powered by renewable energy, advanced technology, and a spirit of community. Sarah dove into the project with her usual determination, drawing on her experiences and the lessons she had learned. She worked closely with architects, engineers, educators, and residents, ensuring that every aspect of the city reflected the values that had guided her journey. The city was designed with neighborhoods that prioritized green spaces, accessible housing, and local businesses. Schools were equipped with state-of-the-art technology, but they also focused on teaching empathy, resilience, and collaboration. Transportation was seamless, with electric shuttles and bike-sharing programs connecting every corner of the city. But what set Horizon City apart was its heart, a massive community center named the Nexus, where people gathered to share ideas, solve problems, and celebrate milestones. At its center was a memorial wall, etched with the names of those who had inspired the movement, Sarah's name among them. The opening day of Horizon City was nothing short of historic. World leaders, journalists, and families from all walks of life gathered to witness the culmination of years of work. Musk stood beside Sarah as they prepared to cut the ribbon, the city gleaming behind them. You've come a long way, Musk said, a rare note of pride in his voice. Sarah smiled, her eyes scanning the crowd. We both have. But this isn't the end, it's the beginning. As the ribbon was cut, a roar of applause erupted, and the first residents began exploring their new home. Sarah watched as children ran through the green spaces, families marveled at their energy-efficient homes, and innovators gathered at the Nexus to discuss the future. Years later, Horizon City became a beacon of hope for the world, a testament to what could be achieved when innovation was guided by compassion and inclusivity. Sarah remained its leader, though she often reminded people that the city's success wasn't hers alone. During an anniversary celebration, Daniel, now an accomplished engineer, surprised her with a speech. Standing before a crowd of thousands, he said, "This city isn't just a dream come true, it's proof of what my mom has always believed, that no matter how small you feel, your actions can create ripples that change the world." Sarah, sitting in the front row, wiped away tears as the crowd erupted into applause. In the quiet moments, as Sarah walked through the city she had helped build, she often thought back to the day she first stood up in that town hall and asked Elon Musk her question. She had never imagined that one moment of courage would lead to all of this. But as she looked around at the thriving community, the laughter of children, and the innovation sparking new possibilities every day, she knew one thing for certain: the future wasn't just something she had fought for, it was something she had helped create. And it was brighter than she had ever dreamed. As Horizon City thrived, it began attracting not only attention but also scrutiny. While most celebrated its success as a model for the future, critics emerged, questioning its scalability in the true cost of such a utopia. Headlines ranged from "The City of Tomorrow, a model or a mirage?" To "Is Horizon City only for the privileged few?" Sarah faced these criticisms head-on, understanding that they came with the territory of creating something groundbreaking. She knew that while Horizon City was thriving, it wasn't enough. The lessons learned here needed to ripple outward to communities everywhere. One day, as Sarah reviewed expansion plans in her office at the Nexus, her assistant knocked on the door. "Sarah, you have a visitor," she said, her voice unusually hesitant. "Who is it?" Sarah asked, glancing up from her desk. The assistant stepped aside, and an older man entered, his weathered face framed by a cowboy hat. He looked out of place among the sleek, modern surroundings of Horizon City. "Jacob Fisher," he said, extending his hand. "I heard you might remember me." Sarah's face lit up with recognition. "Jacob. Of course, I do." She shook his hand warmly, memories of her early days working with Elon Musk flooding back. "What brings you all the way here?" Jacob's eyes scanned the room before settling on Sarah. "Your city, it's everything we dreamed of back when we were just trying to save my farm. But there are folks out there who think it's just that, a dream. Something they'll never see for themselves." Sarah gestured for him to sit, her expression serious. "I've heard the criticism," she admitted. "That this is a bubble, that it can't be replicated. But that's exactly what we're working on, taking what's worked here and bringing it to other places." Jacob nodded, but his gaze didn't waver. "Then let me help. I know what it's like to be on the other side, to feel like you're being left behind. You need people who've lived that, who can bridge the gap between this vision and the reality most people face." Sarah leaned back, considering his words. "You're right," she said after a moment. "If we're going to prove this model works, we need more voices like yours at the table." With Jacob's help, Sarah launched the Horizon Network, a global initiative to bring the principles of Horizon City to struggling communities. Instead of building new cities from scratch, the program focused on revitalizing existing towns and neighborhoods, using Horizon City as a blueprint. The first project was in a rural town devastated by factory closures and unemployment. Jacob led the local team, working alongside engineers and community leaders to implement renewable energy systems, modernize schools, and create job opportunities through new industries. Sarah visited the site often, watching as the town transformed. But the most inspiring moments came from the people themselves, farmers learning to use advanced irrigation technology, single mothers gaining skills through education programs, and children discovering their potential in classrooms equipped with cutting-edge tools. Despite the progress, challenges persisted. Opposition from corporations threatened to derail the network, while logistical hurdles tested the limits of their resources. One particularly tough day, Sarah found herself walking through Horizon City's Central Park, seeking clarity. Elon Musk joined her, as he often did when big decisions loomed. "You're quiet today," he said, falling into step beside her. "I'm just thinking about how far we've come," Sarah said. "But also how far we still have to go." Musk nodded, his gaze thoughtful. "Revolutions are never easy," he said. "But what you've built, what we've built, proves it's possible. The world's watching, and that's a good thing. It means they believe this can work." Sarah looked at him, her resolve strengthening. "Then we keep going," she said. "No matter how hard it gets." The Horizon Network grew, touching lives across continents. In cities, villages, and towns, the principles of Horizon City brought hope and opportunity. Sarah's vision had become a movement, powered not by technology alone but by the belief that everyone deserved a future they could be proud of. Years later, at a global summit marking the 10th anniversary of Horizon City, Sarah stood before an audience that spanned the world. Leaders, innovators, and everyday citizens listened as she reflected on the journey. "When we started, this wasn't about building a city, it was about proving that change is possible," she said. Horizon City was never meant to be the end goal. It was a beginning, a promise that the future can be better when we build it together. As the crowd rose in a standing ovation, Sarah felt a deep sense of gratitude and purpose. She had once asked a single question that had changed her life, and now, her answer had changed the world. The lights dimmed, and the applause faded, but Sarah's work was far from over. For her, the horizon wasn't a destination. It was a call to keep moving forward, to keep dreaming, and to keep building a future where no one was left behind.